Story 1 by Mary Brand. In the dimly lit, abandoned mansion, Mary found herself exploring the decaying rooms on a dare from her friends. With a heart pounding in her chest, she realized she was not alone when a mysterious presence seemed to lurk in the shadows. Fear consumed her as an invisible hand brushed against her shoulder, sending a chill down her spine. As she turned to confront the unknown, Mary's journey into the supernatural world began, uncovering secrets and unraveling a haunting mystery that had remained hidden for decades. Mary's breath quickened as the invisible hand brushed against her shoulder, leaving a clammy, icy sensation in its wake. Panic surged through her veins as she spun around to confront the unseen presence that had invaded her solitude. In the pitch-black room, she strained her eyes, searching for any sign of what had touched her. Her flashlight flickered, casting eerie, elongated shadows on the peeling wallpaper. "Who's there?" she stammered, her voice trembling. There was no reply, but Mary could sense a peculiar heaviness in the air, as if the room itself were holding its breath. She raised her flashlight, and the beam of light revealed a room frozen in time. Dust-covered furniture draped in white sheets loomed like phantoms in the gloom. An old, cracked mirror reflected her frightened face, and cobwebs hung like delicate lace from the ceiling. Summoning her courage, Mary took a step forward. The sensation of being watched intensified, and the room seemed to exhale with a soft, chilling breeze. With trepidation, she continued to explore the derelict mansion, unable to shake the feeling that she was not alone. The mansion had long been rumored to be haunted, and tales of restless spirits and inexplicable phenomena had circled the town for generations. Mary had always been a skeptic, but now she couldn't deny the eerie reality she was experiencing. As she ventured deeper into the mansion, each room held its own secrets and peculiarities. In one room, she found a collection of faded photographs, their subjects obscured by time. In another, a dilapidated piano stood in the corner, its keys producing haunting, off-key notes when she touched them. The further she explored, the more it became evident that something otherworldly dwelled within the decaying walls. Mary's friends had dared her to spend the night in the mansion, thinking it was all a game, but she now realized she was in over her head. Every shadow seemed to whisper ancient secrets, and the weight of countless untold stories pressed down on her shoulders. Fear turned to curiosity, and she was determined to uncover the truth behind the mansion's enigmatic history. Hours passed as Mary delved deeper into the mysteries of the mansion. She discovered a hidden door that led to a forgotten attic. In the dim, dusty space, she found a chest containing a collection of letters and journals. These documents revealed a tragic tale of love, loss, and betrayal that had plagued the mansion for generations. The words of those long gone seemed to come to life, and Mary felt a connection to the spirits who had penned their stories. The more she read, the more she understood that the invisible hand she had felt was no malevolent force, but a desperate cry for help from the lingering souls trapped within the mansion. She decided to communicate with them, to bring closure to their restless spirits. As night turned to dawn, Mary conducted a séance using a makeshift Ouija board she had discovered in the attic. She felt a strange connection to the spirits as they spelled out their messages through the trembling planchette. They yearned for redemption and release from the mansion's cursed confines. With newfound determination, Mary made it her mission to help the spirits find peace. She enlisted the help of local historians and paranormal investigators, who confirmed the authenticity of the documents she had found. Together, they uncovered the tragic love story that had doomed the mansion, and they devised a plan to set the spirits free. The process was not without its challenges. They conducted cleansing rituals, communicated with the spirits, and sought forgiveness for past wrongs. The mansion seemed to come alive with ethereal energy, as the spirits gradually found solace and moved on to the afterlife. As the last spirit departed, Mary felt a profound sense of accomplishment and relief. The once haunted mansion now stood silent, its oppressive atmosphere replaced by an air of serenity. The invisible hand that had touched her shoulder now seemed like a guiding presence, a grateful gesture from the spirits who could finally rest in peace. Mary's journey had transformed her from a skeptic into a believer. She had not only conquered her fear but also uncovered a hidden history and helped lost souls find their way to the other side. The mansion, once a place of darkness, had become a symbol of hope, redemption, and the enduring power of the human spirit. Story 2 by Gus Vlahos. With no cell phone signal and no other cars in sight, I felt an unsettling sense of isolation and vulnerability in the darkness. The highway extended endlessly, flanked by gnarled, looming trees that seemed to reach out with shadowy fingers. My car had inexplicably stalled, and there was no sign of assistance in this remote stretch of road. I stepped out of the vehicle into the biting cold of the night. The isolation pressed in on me, and the distant, eerie howling of a solitary coyote only intensified the sensation of complete abandonment. The beam of my flashlight quivered as I cautiously made my way down the road, revealing fleeting glimpses of twisted skeletal branches and eerie, unidentifiable shapes lurking in the underbrush. Every rustle of leaves and the mournful hoot of an owl sent shivers down my spine, and the road seemed to stretch into an endless abyss with no signs of life. My vulnerability deepened with each step, and I questioned my decision to leave the car behind. Hours slipped by in the eerie stillness of the night, and as despair began to consume me, a faint glimmer of light appeared. I approached with trepidation, discovering a dilapidated cabin, its windows warped and cracked, an ominous beacon amidst the isolation. The cabin's door creaked open on its own as I entered, and the interior was shrouded in an unsettling darkness. The couple inside, their faces obscured by shadows, welcomed me with cryptic smiles, and a sinister feeling settled in my gut, making me wonder if I had found refuge or walked into a trap in this desolate, otherworldly place. Inside the cabin, a stifling atmosphere clung to the air, and the dim, flickering candlelight cast long, menacing shadows on the warped walls. The couple's voices were soft and sibilant like whispers from the grave. They motioned for me to sit, but their movements were disjointed, almost inhuman. As I settled in, I couldn't help but notice the peculiar decor: shelves lined with dusty ancient books, their pages filled with cryptic symbols, and bizarre occult artifacts adorned the room. The unsettling sensation that I had walked into a nightmarish world gnawed at my nerves. The couple's conversation turned increasingly surreal, touching on topics that felt otherworldly and incomprehensible. It was as if they were speaking in riddles, and their eyes gleamed with an unnatural intensity. I was trapped in a nightmarish fever dream with no escape. Desperation began to claw at me, and I realized that I had unwittingly fallen into a trap, a web spun by forces beyond my understanding. I needed to escape this sinister place, to break free from the clutches of the unnerving couple and their dark secrets. Summoning all the courage I had left, I bolted for the door. It creaked open reluctantly, as if the cabin itself resisted my escape. The night outside was impossibly darker, but I knew I had to flee the cabin's malevolent grasp. With no clear path to follow, I stumbled blindly through the woods, driven by the primal instinct to survive. Every rustle of leaves, every snapping branch, felt like the pursuit of the malevolent forces that had ensnared me. The night seemed to stretch into eternity, and I questioned my own sanity as the world around me twisted and warped. Was I lost in a macabre nightmare, or had I ventured into a realm where the boundary between the living and the dead had blurred? The harrowing ordeal continued, and the darkness threatened to consume me, but I clung to the hope that somewhere, somehow, I would find a way out of this sinister web of isolation and terror. As I stumbled through the dense woods, the night itself appeared to be conspiring against me. The trees seemed to bend and contort, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers to grasp at my clothing. The moon was obscured by ominous clouds, shrouding the forest in an impenetrable darkness. My footsteps echoed eerily, and I could hear whispered voices in the rustling leaves and the mournful howling of the wind. It was as though the very essence of the forest had become a malevolent presence, a living nightmare that toyed with my senses. My flashlight flickered and died, plunging me into an abyss of pitch-black despair. Panic clawed at my throat, and I fumbled through the darkness, guided only by my fear and the distant, incoherent voices that seemed to draw closer. Just as I thought I had succumbed to the all-encompassing dread, a feeble glimmer of light appeared in the distance. I staggered toward it, driven by desperation, and stumbled upon a rickety bridge that spanned a murky, stagnant river. The eerie glow emanated from the other side, where a dilapidated, centuries-old mansion loomed like a spectral monolith. I had no other choice but to cross the bridge, praying that it would lead to salvation rather than further despair. As I ventured onto the bridge, its time-worn planks creaked ominously, and the river below seemed to churn with restless spirits. I couldn't shake the feeling that the mansion held secrets even darker than those I had encountered in the cabin. But there was no turning back. My heart pounded with dread as I made my way toward the ominous structure, its doors creaking open with an eerie welcome. The mansion's interior was as foreboding as its exterior, with dimly lit corridors that seemed to stretch on endlessly. Antique paintings lined the walls, their eyes following my every step, and ghostly whispers echoed through the air. The air was thick with an unsettling energy, and I could sense the presence of something inexplicable lurking in the shadows. My journey through the mansion was a descent into madness, as if I had entered a realm where the laws of reality no longer applied. My very existence felt tenuous, hanging by a thread in a nightmarish world where time and space twisted and warped. As I delved deeper, the mansion revealed its darkest secrets, each room a macabre tableau of horrors and tragedies that had unfolded within its walls. I was entangled in a web of malevolence that spanned generations, and I couldn't escape the feeling that the mansion itself was a living, malevolent entity. In my darkest hour as I ventured into the mansion's heart, I encountered a room that held the key to its haunting history. There, I unraveled the tragic tale of a cursed family, bound to the mansion for eternity by a dark pact. It was a story of betrayal, revenge, and unspeakable horrors. With newfound understanding, I was determined to break the curse that had ensnared both the mansion and its tormented inhabitants. I embarked on a harrowing journey to confront the malevolent force that had driven me to the brink of madness. As I faced the entity at the heart of the mansion, the very fabric of reality seemed to tremble. The struggle was a battle of wills, a test of my courage and determination. In the end, it was a choice between succumbing to the darkness or freeing both the mansion and myself from the malevolent grip of the curse. The world around me shattered, and in a blinding surge of light I awoke outside the mansion. It stood there dark and foreboding, but the malevolence that had once pervaded it was gone. I had broken the curse, and the mansion was free from its sinister past. Though I had escaped the darkness, the memories of that night would forever haunt my dreams. The mansion, now an empty shell, stood as a chilling reminder of the malevolent forces that lurked just beyond the boundaries of our reality, waiting for those who dared to venture into the unknown. Story 2, by Argyros. Deep in the heart of Louisiana's Bayou country, an intrepid team of archaeologists embarked on a mission to excavate an old plantation that had been abandoned for over a century. The air was thick with humidity, and the surrounding swampland seemed to hold its secrets close. As they explored the decaying manor, the team stumbled upon a hidden room, its door almost obscured by thick vines. Inside, they stumbled upon a dusty, forgotten journal, bound in leather and filled with handwritten notes. The journal detailed a series of bizarre rituals and occult practices performed by a previous resident known as Madeleine Dubois, a voodoo priestess who had lived on the plantation in the 1800s. The rituals were described in painstaking detail, from the use of bones and animal sacrifices to summoning spirits from the beyond. Over the course of their excavation, strange things began to happen. Unexplained sounds echoed through the mansion at night, and some team members claimed to have seen ghostly figures moving in the shadows. As tensions rose, they decided to replicate one of Madeleine's rituals, just to prove it was all a hoax. But their skepticism turned to terror when, as they chanted the incantations and lit candles, the room grew cold, and a sinister presence seemed to fill the space. Suddenly the journal slammed shut, and the candles flickered wildly as a ghostly apparition of Madeleine Dubois materialized before their eyes. Her hollow gaze and sinister smile sent shivers down their spines. In a panic, the team fled the plantation, leaving behind the journal. The voodoo priestess, it seemed, had not been content to remain forgotten, and the dark energy she had harnessed still lingered in the cursed plantation. The archaeologists' once skeptical minds were forever haunted by the eerie events they had witnessed, and the sinister secrets they had unwittingly awakened, reminding them that some knowledge is best left undisturbed in the darkness of the past.